We're the Young Indie Chroniclers podcast, and we're producing a new feature-length documentary, George Lucas, The Lost Golden Age.
Those 4 years in there was the happiest period for Lucasfilm.
We're thrilled to report Rick McCallum has agreed to sit with us for an all-new exclusive interview just for this documentary. We're also in contact with other key figures from the period, including Ben Burt, Jonathan Hales, and many others who played an enormous part in bringing this era to life.
We built a Kickstarter campaign to support the film. Join us now on this adventure at Kickstarter.com.
Hello there. Welcome to Force Ghost Conversations. This podcast is your home for cozy deep dives into all things Star Wars and Lucasfilm-adjacent properties. This is your host, Anthony King, and each week I will be joined by fans, creators, and believers in the principles from the galaxy far, far away to discuss the thematical elements from our favorite Lucasfilm properties. And without further ado, it is time to gather around the campfire for some Force Ghost Conversations. Hey there, folks. Welcome back to Force Ghost Conversations. And we have another conversation here this week about Visions Volume 3. I can't wait for you all to hear it here. We have, of course, Jessica McNair back from formerly the Tales of the Force podcast, now known as the Rebellion of Hope podcast, which she's about to launch very soon here. So wonderful to have her back on the show, have some insights into Visions Volume 3, especially these Part 2 set of episodes here, right? 4, 5, and 6 of Visions Volume 3. So really excited for y'all to hear this. Of course, this is taking place over, or at least this is released over the Thanksgiving holiday here in the US. So this means I am recording this part of the episode in advance. So therefore, there is no Cloud City gossip this week. So if there's anything that drops in the Star Wars and Lucasfilm-adjacent galaxy during this time, we'll cover it in next week's episode. So be on the lookout for that very soon. And with that, let's just get into the main topic conversation here. So on the other side of the short break, we'll be back with Jessica talking Visions Volume 3, Part 2. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another installment of Force Ghost Conversations, as teased in last week's episode where we talked about Part 1 from Volume 3 of Star Wars Visions. We are here to chat about, you guessed it, Part 2 from Visions Volume 3. So that is including episodes 4, 5, and 6 of Star Wars Visions. And we have another wonderful guest returning back to the show. This is Jessica. You may know her from the Tales of the Force podcast, formerly of the Tales of the Force podcast, and now of the new Rebellion of Hope podcast. Jessica, welcome back to Force Ghost Conversations, and how are you doing?
Hello, I'm good. It's good to be back.
It's great to have you back. You've been launching businesses, launching new podcasts, doing a lot of fun things here. So I'm glad that we were able to get you on the recording, on the microphone, and to chat.
It's been a journey. But yeah, I started an online store, online boutique, definitely geared towards. I mean, anybody can shop there. I didn't make it like too nerdy, but I felt like, we're all busy and we have a lot of stuff that we do and we spend a lot of time in our fandom, and then it's like every day, what are we gonna do? And nerds like fashion. We like to be cozy, comfy, or cute, or whatever the vibe is.
All that, yeah.
And so I launched a shop, and I have like a long history of doing that for other people and styling people and dressing people in the past, and so it's something that I've missed, and a creative outlet in my life that I've missed. And I love people being comfortable and people being happy. I think that's more important than like any trend or fad, or it's like seeing people light up and feeling happy in their own skin and what they're walking out the door in. Like it's an incredible feeling, and I miss doing that. So yeah, adding men's stuff soon too. So I want everybody to be able to, whatever type of clothing you like to wear, regardless of gender. I kind of want to have all all the options. So
All the bases covered, so to speak.
yes, yes.
Which I think is awesome, right? Because fandom is all about expression.
Yeah.
And we express it in different ways. Some people hop on a podcast and chat about things.
Yeah.
Some people read books and just go into online chat forums about things. And some people physically want to say, like, hey, I'm a fan of this content, or I like wearing this blue t-shirt because it's how I feel good in my own skin,
Yeah.
right? And there's so many things that detract the positivity from the world around us. And I think you're
Yeah.
through your boutique and just the energy that you exude is putting out positivity out there into the world. So thank
Thank
you
you.
for
I
doing that,
try.
and congrats on taking that next step there.
Thank you. And then as since that's like out there and I'm kind of things are calming down on that side of, getting all that stuff done because, I have ADHD, so the executive function hits me pretty hard. I struggle
Yeah.
with that. And so, all the behind the scenes work of starting a business is overwhelming to where like
Hmm.
that's all I could focus on. And so now that that part of it is behind me and now I'm on the next part of it, I can get back into the podcast. Yay.
Getting back into the swing of things, yeah, and launching it with a brand new title.
Yes.
Coming out with a great new episode that you have in the wheels ready to come out pretty soon here. So
Hopefully,
it's an
yes,
exciting
soon.
time for Jessica over there, of course.
Yeah, working on it, working on it.
Working on it indeed. And I'm thrilled to have you here to chat about Star
Thank
Wars Visions
you.
Volume 3, the new hot thing that's in the Star Wars galaxy right now.
Yes.
And where I want to start our conversation at is with like your opinions and perspectives on probably the first two volumes up to this point, just the overall concept of Star Wars Visions, right? And arguably, you could say the concept takes fans through a differentiating and global perspective, perhaps on the galaxy far, far away. What are your thoughts and opinions on, let's say, the first two volumes so far? And let's start with that. What do you think of volumes 1 and 2?
I love them. I'm not so like I didn't grow up like watching anime. That's
Okay.
something that is like a newer like form of I guess like art and
Mm-hmm.
shows to me and it's not something I've ever like been against. I just or like wasn't interested in, I guess, not like not against, but like it's not that the interest wasn't there. I just sometimes I get become a creature of habit. And I
Sure. Hey.
rewatch things over and over again. And so there's like so many movies and shows and things that is like on a list that just continues to grow.
Mm-hmm.
But I I love it. I love the concept of it. It's something that like I don't necessarily haven't watched like as quickly as like some of the other Star Wars shows that have come out or movies.
Mm-hmm.
But it's kind of nice because I get to kind of digest it like on my own and not like rush through it. But I love it. And it's been such a great thing to share with people that I've met so many people like in day to day life that are like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I haven't really gotten into Star Wars, but I love anime. And I'm like, oh, you should watch Star Wars
Yeah, it goes
Visions. And
hand in
they're
hand.
like, what is that? And I tell them about like, the concept and how it's not canon. So it's not going to really ruin any stories or anything. And, they're, if they have kids, their kids can watch it. And, all these different anime houses and studios have done all these projects and people will
Mm-hmm.
look it up on their phone and because they're involved in that world, they're like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. Like these people did this and these people did this. And so I found it to be a really interesting way, even though it's not something I'm as
Hmm.
familiar with that world, but that I've been able to share with people that have gotten them possibly into Star Wars. So that's been
Amazing.
fun.
I love
But
hearing entryways into Star Wars, and with
yeah,
Visions being one of them, right? Because it's one of the newer projects, right? I think 2022 is when it officially first came out, right? So we're only talking 3 years, really, of this being a part of our
yeah.
story in a way. And it's fun that for a franchise that's almost 50 years old, that something that's released pretty recently here has a very impactful way of getting people like, oh, I can dip my toes into this. Like it's a safe way to do that.
Yeah, because Star Wars is 50 years, right? Like, or
Hmm.
almost 50 years. And so I think it can kind of be intimidating for people. I think it can be one of
Absolutely.
those things where it's like, well, I haven't watched it this far, and now there's all these
Hundreds of
movies.
hours of
Yeah.
stuff.
And like, where do you start? And I mean, there's like, it's easy for some people to be like, well, this is where you start, or this is how you do it. But like, that's overwhelming because there's so
Yeah.
many opinions and it's hard to keep up with it all. And so I think having something that's not canon, that is
Mm-hmm.
just, art for Star Wars, it's such a great way for people to get a little bit of a taste of it, and then they can think, oh, okay, well, maybe I'll sit down and I'll watch, Star Wars A New Hope or something, or whatever it is.
Absolutely.
So
It must be really freeing from that perspective, right? Because you noted how um they're like it's not tied into canon, so you don't need to worry about like knowing like how it impacts everything in the overall story. But there's also the other side of that coin too, where it's like, oh, I don't need to know everything about the thing before hopping into this any single episode of this, any of the episodes of Visions volumes 1 through 3, right? Because I think that's another thing that I hear from people is like, oh, there's hours, hundreds of hours of this stuff. I can't keep the through line of the story in my head and all these side characters and where this happens in the timeline and whatnot.
yeah,
And this is like someone just saying, hey, just watch my episode and you get the thematical elements and there's some visual imagery that is reminiscent of Star Wars. And maybe you get like a sound effect or a lightsaber here and there. But ultimately, it's just an encapsulated story that takes place in whatever sandbox your creative palace created.
yeah, yeah. And it kind of introduces people to the Force. It introduces people to the Jedi and the
Yeah.
Sith. Like, still very true to Star Wars canon. Even though it's not a canon story, it's still, I think the Force is still like true. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's still the same concepts. It's still the same themes. It's still the same. It's still Star Wars, And
Yeah.
so I think it's a fun way for people to be like, well, this is kind of cool. I don't know. I've loved that I've been able to bring that up to people that have been like, I love anime, but I've
Hmm.
never really watched Star Wars. And I'm like, well, let me tell you, there's something there. It's like, I feel like a used car salesman.
You're like
Have you
the light bulb
tried?
turns on in your head. You're like, oh, I got an in now. I can say
Yeah.
something about this. So, how did you react when Volume 3 was announced?
I was really excited.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was excited that they were continuing again, because it is something so different from, I don't know, like I feel like it has that organic feeling of when Lucas created A New Hope, right?
Hmm.
It pulled off of like, the hero's journey and Joseph Campbell and like, psychology concepts and things like that, but it was different. And it was
Yeah. Yeah.
like he started in a random part of his
He just
story.
kind of made
And
it up. Yeah.
yeah, and it was, like wasn't expected to be this thing that's just massive 50 years later.
No.
And
No.
so I love the organicness of Visions, because it's not, people can create without the pressure of it has to fit into this overarching thing. And we've seen, like with the Acolyte, even that even if it's not supposed to technically fit into this overarching thing, it still gets judged off of very, very, very high and sometimes unfair expectations.
Got that
And
right.
and so like when you want to create, I think it's hard, because it's like you have this massive IP now, and you
Hmm.
have this massive story and like insanely passionate fans. um how do you allow people to be creative and just be creative and create something? Because honestly, from like even a business standpoint, this is brilliant, because you have people incubating these new stories that you can go, okay, well, that might not be canon yet,
Hmm.
but
Yeah. Sure.
we can take this story and hire this writer to make it an in canon story and make it its own thing, or
Yeah.
with whenever, you know, timeline of, canon Star Wars. So I love it, because it's such a way for people, even, the writers and the creators and the animators and everybody that's involved in this project, to kind of dip their toes in it without having so much restrictions
Yeah.
in a
Absolutely.
sense.
Hmm.
So yeah.
I think that's the biggest thing you hear from people that are in Hollywood, that are screenwriters, that are like, oh, it's difficult to jump into something with so much like a Bible of sorts of lore already and to create your own story within that, right? This, on the other hand, like you were saying, is that freedom of, hey, I'm in the sandbox, kind of, but I don't have to include a Luke Skywalker. I don't have to include a Darth Vader. I'm not contained by, oh, there was an off comment in a footnote in a book written 10 years ago that I
Yeah.
have to abide by because of this kind of format here, which I think is so freeing for the creators and the people. Plus, I think the animation style, right, just adds to another level of depth of creativity that allows them to just go free with whatever their minds are doing here. And
Yeah.
it's fun that you're already mentioning like the idea of like they're creating their own kind of pocket universes and the idea of whatever Visions actually ultimately becomes over the next couple of years. Because already in this volume 3 we're seeing a couple sequels to things from
Mhm.
volume 1, one which we'll talk about in
Mhm.
this grouping of episodes here, but one is those is even getting turned into a long form series on Disney Plus, The Ninth Jedi, which is like, wow, the sky's the limit if that's the direction that they're taking with these things. All these offshoot stories can be their own thing, and if they do a volume 4 or volume 5, who knows what else can be told down the line here, which is really exciting and inviting, I imagine, for both fans of the content, like we consume it all, but also for the people that are creating it on the other side. They're
Yeah.
like, hey, no sky's the limit here.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, as long as it's like true to, I think, like the ethos of
Yeah,
Star Wars, then that's like kind of probably the only thing, but you can push boundaries a little bit more and you can kind of play with those concepts a little bit more too, which I think would be fun as a creative to be able to be a part of Star Wars, but like you don't have that pressure, I guess.
yeah,
So,
absolutely.
yeah.
Now, you were in Japan, right, for Celebration? Am
I
I
was,
correct for that? Did you
yeah.
go check out the Visions Pavilion
I
that was
did.
there?
It was super cool. It was really incredible. It was like they had like the characters walking
Mm-hmm.
around and
Wow.
yeah, people like dressed up. Like it was really cool. Yeah, it was just incredible to be there for that because there's so much explore the force. I got to actually go to their panel and
Mm-hmm.
they even talked their panel was about like how much Star Wars draws from Japan and Japanese culture and like their mythos and their
Wow.
stories and traditions and it was really cool to see, Visions so like prominent, I feel like,
Amazing.
with it being, anime and everything. And yeah, so that was really incredible to see all of that because there is so much influence from Japan and,
Mm-hmm.
the Japanese way of life and their culture and history is very, very, very influential on Star Wars. So
Can't argue
yeah.
that. I mean, it's in the DNA for sure.
Yeah.
And I was so glad just sitting at home at CouchCon and looking at all the
Yeah.
pictures of people overseas, um, going into the pavilion and also going to the larger panel that they had as well for this thing, which was I found that to be the best, arguably one of the best parts of that celebration there, because that's one of the most unique things for Star Wars there, right? Is because all these studios, especially for Volume 1 and Volume 3, are there in on
Hmm.
the Japanese islands, and because they don't have to take the stuff across an ocean, and let's say if it's in like LA or somewhere, right, or
Yeah.
Anaheim even, they don't need to take all the props and materials. So this is a way for fans to get access to see like how the productions were made of these things and the cool details and whatnot, and whatever, they had so much on display there just from the pictures that I remember seeing of how these things actually were brought to life. And that's so cool,
Yeah.
and such a unique experience, and like that's why you go to these fun conventions
Yeah.
for this type of uh boots on the ground level access that you would never get anywhere else.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so cool. And it was so neat to get to look at all of that. And I don't know. I think that all of that is really cool, but I think I was just so distracted and like in awe of like seeing people like dressed up as the characters
Yeah,
walking
yeah, and also to see
around.
cosplay of
Yeah.
Vision's characters, right? It's taken a
Yeah.
life of its own now in the
Yeah.
fandom, which is so amazing.
Yeah. It was really cool. There was just something going on like all the time, I feel
Love it.
like.
And that's the whole point of Celebration, is just to be
Yeah.
overwhelmed for 3-4 days of
Yes.
just constant Star Wars bombardment. And
Yes.
somehow we come out on the other end being like, yeah, I could watch Star Wars again.
Mhm.
I always think of it like the hot dog eating contest over 4th of July, right? And usually like they ask the winner like, when are you gonna eat your next hot dog? And you're like, right now. Like that's pretty
Yeah.
much us with Star Wars at after celebration. Like, yeah, on the flight home I'll watch A New Hope.
Yeah, why not?
Don't tease me with a good time. But let's get into the Visions conversation itself here. And for
Yeah.
folks at home listening, this is a spoiler conversation. So if you haven't seen Visions Volume 3, episodes 4, 5, and 6 yet, make sure you go pause this episode and then go watch it on your Disney Plus, and then come right back to this moment, because after this point, everything is fair game. Spoiler warnings ahead for all this stuff here. So the first episode we'll take a look at today is called The Bounty Hunters. This episode deals with the concept of slavery and human trafficking. Now, with that in mind, is Jinsen, the kind of overlord of if you will, uh, is he one of the worst people in the galaxy? What do you think? Is he one of the worst that you've ever seen in Star Wars?
I mean, there's so many like there's so many like worsts there, when you think of things that, the war crimes and genocide and just like insane things that the Empire and the Sith have done. Um and I mean some of the questionable things even the Jedi
I was gonna
did,
say, yeah, don't let the Jedi off the hook either.
and the Republic did, so like it's I think he's definitely like up there. But
He's
the
up there.
worst,
Okay.
I think there are definitely some like worsterers. And then we'll make up a word.
Worsters, yeah. Now, do you think he's if maybe not the worst, do you think he's definitely like an opportunist, right? A
Oh
person
yeah.
taking advantage of
Yeah, I mean, it's
the
awful. Like, I'm not trying to
defending his guy.
I'm not trying to like make it seem like, oh, it's fine. Like, no, no. Like it's like that what he's doing is awful and like just horrible. Um, but yeah, it's just like I think it's clearly like, well, it's just business, but
Hmm.
like you're literally doing that off of, the backs of like other people that are suffering and being used. And yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and he's using that kind of like that slaver's mentality of like, well, I give them food. They're
yeah,
living a better life here than what they possibly could anywhere else. And it's like,
all the
well, dude,
excuses.
you may be feeding them, but it's not like the 5-star meal, right? But also you're taking away their freedom to make their life what they want it to be.
Yeah,
You're
he kept being like, oh, I pay them. It's like, okay, cool,
like, oh,
but
what, $2, and they never get to use that money.
yeah, what are they gonna do with it, yeah,
They're on your ship. They're your servants. They are working in the mines, or wherever he's got them positioned across the galaxy with his industry, um, and robbing them of their choice, their free will, their ability to be themselves, their
yeah,
individualism, right? And
yeah.
you know, some might argue like that's the worst crime of all, right?
Yeah, and like I was about to say, like some people would rather be like, I'd rather die than have to do that,
And
So
it's almost implied, right, in this
yeah,
episode that that's the case
yeah,
for
yeah,
some of these people, right? That like that group was like, hey, let's chat this out here. You guys are just picking us up.
yeah,
You bounty hunters, you can be reasoned with. He can't be. He's so far down the line that
yep,
this is just a one-sided conversation here. But at least I can have a dialogue with you here, even though I love the IV assassin droid has his assassin mode, right?
yeah.
His dark side. Um, what do you think this episode overall can teach us as people of the real world about quote unquote doing the right thing?
I think it's important sometimes even when things can be quote unquote, I say quote unquote because it's not justified, but like quote unquote justified, like how you were saying, like, well, I feed them, or
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, I think you can see that even in like instances of like abusive relationships. Well,
Yeah.
I don't do this, or it could be worse, or whether it's a friendship,
He lets me do this if I do
yeah,
everything else right.
yeah, like if this like, well, I'm not this person. I'm not, whatever. And like you can literally justify
Mm.
people can try to justify anything. And I think that happens in so many layers of like the real world, whether it's like in relationships and politics, in working and like
Sure. Yeah.
jobs.
All the above.
Just like, you're supposed to work from this time to this time, and then you feel pressured to not do something outside of your like job description. And people will say,
Yeah.
oh, these young kids or this younger generation doesn't know what like hard work is. And it's like, okay, but you also shouldn't have had to do that.
That's right.
Like, well, back in my day, it's like, okay, well, cool. You should have been able to be a kid back in your day. You shouldn't have
Hmm.
had to go work in a factory at 14,
That's
like
right.
you should have been able to be 14. Um, and so it's one of those things where I think it's such a societal thing for us to try to justify bad behavior
Hmm. Hmm.
on whatever scale. And I think it takes someone being really strong and firm in their convictions and their truth, especially if it's something that's happened to them, to be like, no, this isn't okay.
Yeah.
Whatever level that is, like, this is okay. You're exploiting this person at whatever extent that exploitation is.
Right.
And like, no, like I felt that. I don't want someone else to feel that way, so.
100% agree.
And it's not
And
fun to be that person, but
oh, it's not. I can only imagine. And I just want to add to the conversation, right? Because this is titled Bounty Hunters, right? So we do follow two bounty hunter characters as they're kind of being this middle person in between the human
yeah.
cargo and Jensen here. And it's kind of like I think often when in the Star Wars galaxy, when people think of bounty hunters, they think of like Boba Fett and Bosk and these morally gray characters, right?
Mhm.
That's usually what people will conjure up in their mind, at least when they think of the actions of what a bounty hunter does. They are just people for hire. It doesn't matter what the job is, they'll do it, and then that's it. Whatever they need to do, and that's that they'll call it a day on that front. But as we're seeing with it's introduced in this episode, plus The Mandalorian also does that over the course of 3 seasons, is that they don't have to be that way. Bounty
Yeah.
hunters can also make a choice. And when push comes to shove, if you see injustice being done in front of you, that you don't have to abide by it. You can say, hey, I'm not taking on these tasks,
Yeah.
or they infiltrate the system and defeat it from within in some ways, like in the case of this episode here.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's like, I think it's like bounty hunter, like they're so interesting in Star Wars because of like that, like you're saying, like that morally gray, because it's another like theme that Star Wars plays with too, that I find so interesting. That's like, okay, but what would you do if you
Hmm.
needed to eat, if you
Yeah.
needed to survive? Like, would you do some questionable things in order to, illegal or slightly illegal,
Yeah,
or
would
like,
you kill kids for to save your loved one, right?
yeah,
All the
I
questions.
mean, but like it's like one of those things where it's like, how far would you go for whatever that thing is? And I think that is a part of humanity that like it's there, like all of us, like
Yeah.
we like to say we have our limits. We'd like to say that we wouldn't cross these lines. And so I like that kind of that pull that they do,
Hmm.
especially when it is a gray type character that's like making the right decision, and then they like keep being bounty hunters, so it's like, what are you gonna do? Or what are they gonna do,
Yeah, all of it.
so
And I think that's great to your point, right? It's like Star Wars is that playground where we get to see people make these choices, right? So
their
we
choices.
can see them be put into situations, make those choices, see what happens because they made those choices, where are the consequences, where are the positives from that, and that allows us as people to ingest that and then say, hey, what would they have done in this situation? Or this seems eerily similar to what I've seen play out in a different format perhaps,
Right.
and that allows us to inform our own choices, and that's, I think, that's the awesome ultimate thematical element of what Star Wars presents for us,
Yeah.
which is at the heart of this episode too.
Yeah, it's like I say this quote all the time, but it goes back to one of my favorite quotes in Ahsoka, where Ahsoka says, you know, even the I'll get the quote wrong. I'm not going to say it word for word, but basically like, even the best choices, like even things done out of the best intentions,
Mm.
I think that's what she says. Even the things
Yeah.
done out of best intentions can have the greatest consequences. And I think you can separate the two. Like, your intention might not have been to hurt this person or to hurt me or whatever, but your actions still did. So either
Yeah.
you can repair that and change, or now you're like aware, like your good intentions of, we can say this guy had good intentions that he's feeding them and he's giving them a better whatever, but he's not, so
He's a bad guy.
yeah, exactly.
He doesn't care
It
about their
doesn't.
well-being. He's just feeding them to keep them alive so that they can
Exactly.
work another day.
Yes, and that's just like trying to make his conscience or whatever a conscience is in Star Wars
Yeah.
probably like feel better. And so
And he doesn't even do the work himself, right? He
no.
gets bounty hunters to go do his
Yes.
dirty work for him.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm not going to get my
Okay,
hands
I didn't
dirty
look this
here.
up and I could be totally wrong. But is the older sister in that? Is that Jodie Turner-Smith?
Oh, I think it is because
I was like, that
she
has
is
to be
definitely in the
her.
voice cast of one of these episodes. Let me quickly look
And
it
I
up.
meant to look that up before this, and I totally
Just to
forgot.
make sure that that is correct. Let's me see quickly on voice cast here. IMDb, pulling that up. Hold on, folks. We're almost there. Stay on target.
The wonders of technology.
Of course, they put and as they should, they put yes, Jodie Turner-Smith is in
Okay,
this.
that's what I
That's correct.
thought.
Yep.
Okay, I was like, I know that's her voice.
Yes, of course, returning from the Acolyte as well as she
Yeah,
was
which is I love that.
in that as well. So that's yeah, she was great in this. Anna Sawai from Shogun as Seven was great in this too, and
Mhm.
Ronnie Cheng as IVA-4 was also pretty awesome in that role here for this iteration too. Okay, let's move on to the next
Yeah.
episode here, titled Yuko's Treasure. And
Yes.
Jessica, is Billy not the best? Like,
Yes.
is that the droid that you just want to
I mean, yeah,
life-size
to be
purchase and then
fair.
have him in your house as like your buddy?
I'm like, can we please get this bear in live action Star Wars? Like, that's
Yeah,
one
I
of
mean
the
it
things
takes
I
place
was.
on Tatooine, so like this is the
Yeah.
most like you could see it
Literally
fit.
every droid in Visions, I'm like, this is the coolest droid ever. Like, we need more of these droids.
That's right. I know at Celebration, Billy was like one of the big like images that they had on display from the big panel that they had for Visions Volume 3. And like, okay, so when these episodes formally came out on Disney Plus, I'm like, all right, where's the Billy episode? Where's that big bear, big
Where's the
robot
bear?
bear?
Yeah.
Like basically Bear in the Big Blue House in Star Wars. And did not disappoint. Do you want to like have a real version of him so you can hug him all the time? Like would he solve all your problems if he existed?
I mean, you have a droid that's gonna like help you and do things, and it's also a cuddly bear. I mean, it's
It's
pretty
a big
great.
win. Help
Yeah.
does your errands for you,
Yeah.
right? He goes out and gets groceries. He makes sure that you're getting fed, you're up on time, you're where you need to be. Like most functional droid ever. Like 3PO's not doing all that.
No, 3PO's not very
R2's not doing
cuddly.
that,
He's
right?
not very
There's
cuddly.
no cuddly aspects to
No.
those guys there, but Billy, like snuggle and cuddle.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
I love it.
Um so this episode talks about like obviously it's called Yuko's Treasure, right? And it's about this massive treasure hunt all throughout Tatooine and then into the bowels of the desert planet itself. And Billy even does a dark side turn for a second. They flip the switch on him and turn him evil, and then he breaks out of that. And they ultimately don't find that there is treasure. Maybe one credit I think is actually what they found in the vault, kind of similar to in Skeleton Crew, has the opening
Mhm.
sequence did a similar thing with that. But in your opinion, what was the real treasure all along?
I feel like it was, to me, like watching it, like it was him finding out that like his parents wanted him, and from what I took from it, to like have freedom, and that's what like the spaceship was, like the
Hmm.
freedom to explore and the freedom to go somewhere, and like you see like the found family aspect of it too, with him being
Yeah,
like, no, like you're coming with us, and so I think yeah, that's kind of like what I took from it. I think
yeah.
was just the found family aspect and the freedom of getting to choose and living the life that you kind of want to, especially as a kid, getting to grow up explore and do things. So yeah, I love the little callbacks to like Star Wars stuff too, like you're saying. Like it was like Skeleton Crew, and then in the other episode before this, they do the thing with a droid like in Clone Wars, when Ahsoka and them are teaching. I think it's on trying to remember what planet, but it was like with Saw Gerrera and his
Oh,
sister.
Onderon, yes.
Yes, on Onderon, and they're teaching them like this is how disable the droids and stuff. And so I was like, they did the thing, and it's the same thing with like the credit. Like you go do this and that's all there is. So
Well, in this episode too has an appearance of Chalmun's Cantina
yeah.
from A New Hope, as well
Yeah.
as a special edition creature included in there. The end did like a rotoscope animation of it that was
I
pretty
love
cool
it.
too. Yeah, yes, ending everything you said, found family. I just want to add that like what a gift it would be to like see your parents in a way, right? Because
Yeah.
it's kind of this implied thing that Yuko really hasn't seen their parents maybe at least for a while, or
Yeah.
like with memory of
Yeah.
seeing them. So like that gift of being able to like see hollow scans of them, and to see that your parents actually loved you, and something you can revisit all the time if you need it, and that comfort there. So like even though they're gone, are they ever really gone? Because you now can see and feel that warm
Yeah.
love, and know that they cared about you even up until the end. And learning from Billy how like they were out there helping people and giving people food and doing things that maybe was not looked upon highly in the galaxy, because they're helping the little guy along the way.
Very
um
Ezra too.
very Ezra indeed, right? So
Yeah.
like, and now like, hey, they left you this here. Let's go out in the galaxy and with their memory in mind, go do good things. Like that,
Right.
I think that's very admirable.
Yeah. Yeah. The treasure could also be that legacy too.
Yeah,
And
yeah, all
choosing to
that.
do that. Yeah.
A lot of legacy, a lot of like just the family aspect of it too. And then you know, uh, bringing the other boy along too, right? Like that's the fun aspect of this episode. That I think goes a long way to showcase that Star Wars is really about found family, and Billy, of course, is a droid. So like, bringing them a part of this adventure too
Yes.
along the way, it just adds to the cuteness. It's cuteness overload. It's adorable. It's great storytelling. It's familiar aspects, because obviously it takes place on Tatooine again, so we can just automatically like almost insert not ourselves, but like, oh, Luke Skywalker could be around the corner here
Yeah.
and whatnot. Like it feels almost the most Star Wars of any of these in Volume 3. Um, in terms of like just saying, hey, you can fit into 1 through 9 and call it a day. But yeah, this is a really good one. I like this one a lot.
And I love that. I love the animation of this one. Like I love the like anime style. Like
Yeah,
I
it felt truly like an anime,
and it
where
felt
some
so
like,
Star Wars though
yeah,
too.
agreed.
Yeah. Yeah. I loved it. Yeah.
The animation styles from Visions across all 3 volumes are so varied, right? That's like, you
Mhm.
can almost say like, what is animation? Like what is anime? And that it says for a lot of people like, hey, this is a very wide spectrum of like where it
Mhm.
falls upon here. But this one is the most like, if I were to imagine in my head anime, right? I think this is the version that would come out at the
And
other
the
end of this.
music and the beginning, the end, it
Yeah,
was very like, yeah.
it's really cool. This was one of my favorites across the entirety of Volume 3.
Yeah, I liked it.
So the last story for this section of Visions Volume 3, Part 2, is quote unquote, or titled The Lost Ones, which is a sequel to The Village Bride from Volume 1. Um, First off, do you have any remembrances of The Village Bride? Did you
Yeah,
rewatch it
so
before
I was
watching
like,
this? How did that go for you?
I should have watched it before. I was like, "Oh yeah, this one's the sequel to that." And so I did like look it up. I like Googled it and I was like, "Oh yeah. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I remember that episode." But I know I remembered really liking that one when it first came out, and that a lot of people also really liked it. So I love that they did like a sequel to the story. And so I thought that was really really fun.
Yeah, me too. I'm glad that they got sequels to these things. I remember when
Yeah.
Volume 1 came out, and that was like the talk of the town was like, hey, are they gonna continue any of these stories here? Like they're pretty cool. But are they just gonna be one-offs, and I'll never hear from these characters again? Now they did the Ronin book, and a comic series too, in that the Star Wars The Duel storyline here. And then Volume 2 came out, and that was from studios from outside of Japan, so across the globe, aside from the United States and Japan. And then with it bringing it back to Volume 3 again with this storyline
Yeah.
here, I think that was one of the big announcements from Celebration, was that they were getting sequels, and we talked, the Ninth Jedi is already getting a longer form series here, but it's also nice that people can be rewarded for liking something a couple of years ago and
Yes.
saying like, hey, I'm getting a payoff here
Yeah, I like
for
this. Now there's more.
exactly. um so in a way, like this episode has, if we're talking like, okay, we did a chunk of 3 here, this one is almost like a third act of watching these in succession here, even though they're all individual stories. Because this one has a lot of action. It's full of like this heist sequence, this lightsaber duel, this final duel at the end, master and apprentice fighting each other once more. So in the final duel between F and her master, you know, I'm just curious about your thoughts about what this particular sequence has to say about like the power of hate and what it can do to somebody as it tackles their minds and warps them.
I think it's, again, it's like one of those things that's like so true to Star Wars at its core about how, if you let hate in, it can just completely, like we talked about in the beginning, like how you justify
Yeah.
so many things. It
Yeah.
can really get in your mind and make you feel and think a lot of things that you probably wouldn't before, because it can become so consuming that with hate a lot of times comes revenge. And so it can be all consuming to where everything is justified to
Mm-hmm.
get your revenge or satisfy that hate or satisfy that anger or your fear or whatever. And so um it's so tied together, and it's so Star Wars,
Yeah.
And so I think seeing that done in another story, like it's such a good, I think, reminder for like any of us like watching this, just like all the other ones, about how like what is important, what you can get caught up in, like what are we allowing ourselves to consume us in a
Mm-hmm.
way.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, sometimes I think in the correct way of this, or a better way of thinking this, like Kylo does say, it is good to let the past die. Sometimes it's good to let those things
I
go,
agree. You got to
because
move on. Yeah.
if you get so caught up in that, like it's easy to get into that cycle of like hate
Mm-hmm.
and you know sometimes it's good to leave things alone. I've
That's right.
learned that the hard way.
That's right.
It's good
Yeah.
to leave things alone. Sometimes you don't always have to have that last word, or you know satisfaction of being right, or
That's right.
whatever. So yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes we're all losers.
Yeah. Sometimes you win and you still lose. Like, what did you gain from
Absolutely.
that?
Yep.
I've been
At
there
what
where I'm like,
cost?
yeah, I'm like, oh, well, I was right. I proved my point. But like at the cost of making someone feel bad about themselves, or
Mm-hmm.
like them feeling regret for things or whatever. Like, okay, cool. Like, was that really worth it? Probably not, you know?
Agreed. Agreed.
So
Yeah. It's a tough. And that's life, right? It's a tough balance between good and bad.
yeah. And we see it like in this and with so many other stories in Star Wars with like masters and their
Mm-hmm.
Padawans or whatever. And it's like, is that one more lesson really? Is it going too far? Or is it, did you really need to face that person again? Or did you really need to, I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And yes, ending everything you just said there, I think one of the takeaways that I had is that hate is a blinder,
Yeah.
right? Like it warps our vision, it warps our memories, it distorts everything that we know and hold dear,
Yeah.
right? It takes everything that we have and puts it through this grinder, and then what comes out on the other end, who knows what that entails here. And for this master here, right? He's feeling abandoned. He's like, I'm gonna take out my apprentice here just because I feel like you left me behind to die, right? And rather than saying like, hey, you were a child at the time, I forgive you, right? I'm so proud of how you survived and the lessons you've learned and how you're exhibiting being a Jedi here. And instead, I've joined this this empire. I am a part of this group that is going around taking away people's rights and civil liberties and spreading fear and mongering hate across the galaxy. And that's like I'm not, and then to have to fight for that, right? Fight for your life, fight against this mentality, fight through that. It's crazy how all that's on display here in this one simple sequence of
Yeah.
this episode here, but it's really powerful and a thing that is a through line across all of Star Wars, right? Because of that and how much we have to overcome as people, and it's almost like this is like an internal battle of the mind here, right? We create some of these visions for ourselves, and we everybody has good and evil within them, and we're just in a constant turmoil of which one's going to win today. What are the choices we're going to make? What are the ways that we're going to impact people? Are we going to be a force for good? Or are we going to be a force for evil, a force for change, what have you? It's all on display in this crazy mind-blowing episode.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, you kind of like said it all right there. So,
Love it.
yeah.
um So I'm at my last question for you here,
Yeah.
and I'm curious because we did get a little bit of a sequel in this episode here, at least in the last one. But of the three that we had talked about in today's episode, are there any that you would like to see get a continuation, or even a further continuation? Technically, if you want a trilogy for the Village Bride, the Lost Ones, and something else.
Um, like for fun, I think it would be fun, like if Yuko's treasure like jumped ahead a little bit and we kind of like saw like what was happening with those characters
Yeah, get some older
later
Yuko.
in life. But I think the one that like that would be fun and it would be really cute, and maybe not cute if it's like old, but like
Oh,
it'd be
they can
fun
make
to
it. Yeah, they can still
yeah,
make it cute.
yeah. But what I think, even though I love that idea, if I had to pick one, I think I would pick the bounty hunters, and to
Mm.
see because this is like Star Wars to me and it might be too cliche, but I would love to see more of that story, and like what happens like with the Jedi in it, and like if the Jedi is found, and like that whole storyline. But then also I would love to see um like you've got all these kids, right? Like are any of them force sensitive, and what did they
Yeah.
go on to do because of, I don't know. That's the one that I would probably like, if I had to pick one, I would pick that one.
Okay, I like both answers, honestly. I don't think you can go wrong with either of those. I think those are really interesting avenues by which to take these stories further. I'm gonna go all in on the Billy. I
You
can't go
want more
wrong with some more.
Billy.
I want more
That's
Billy.
so fair.
More cute, more cute. Star Wars knows when to drive home the cute factor, and boy, do they have a gold mine in Billy the Bear. So more Billy the Bear. Give me a 9 episode series, same way they're doing the ninth child or the ninth Jedi. You know, all of it. Show me all the stages of Yuko's life. Billy will endure forever, even beyond Yuko. Billy will
Mhm.
just put
Billy's
new
forever.
new battery pack in him, some modifications, meet up with R2, be on Endor.
I was about to
Um,
say, like Billy with Ewoks, what would that be like?
Billy with Ewoks, they make him their Emperor Lord. They treat him as a god.
Mhm.
It's all good. That'd be
Mhm.
great. I want it now. Disney, if you're listening, please make more Yuko's treasure. Yuko, really, Billy was the treasure all along. I take back everything I said there.
Billy.
Billy was the treasure all along.
Can someone please cosplay as Billy and give some hugs?
Oh, you know what's gonna happen. Someone's already working on it. It's. I'm sure once they showed that picture at Celebration a couple months ago, that someone was like already percolating some ideas of how they can make it happen. But people walk around like with full Grievous outfits,
Yeah.
like it's very technical what they do for that. So if they can
Yeah.
do that, Billy, it's
Yes.
all right there. So looking at you, 2027 in Los Angeles for Star Wars
I
Celebration.
mean, maybe you could be Billy.
Maybe I could. Maybe I could. Could I?
You
Yes,
would
that's the
rather meet
answer there.
Billy than
Would
be
I
Billy.
rather be the one hugging Billy?
Yeah, there you
Yes,
go.
that's
Yeah,
the
there you
answer. Um,
go.
I that's a past life I had as a costume character. That's a whole separate thing. I've
Yeah.
been the one getting the hugs. I'm trying to give the
Yeah.
hug now.
You're like, no, I want to someone else do it, and then I get to see it.
That's right. I will reap the benefits and the
Oh my
rewards of
gosh, it
their
was like the
hard-earned
first time
labor.
I saw a Gunji cosplayer. I was like freaking out. I was like,
As you
Gunji!
should.
Yes,
As you should, right?
it's
That
so
was the
great.
appropriate response.
Yes, everyone was like, "Oh my gosh, it's Gunji with a little tooth." Oh, and I was perfect. Yeah, yeah.
our hero of Ilum and our hero that survives Order 66 and beyond.
Yeah.
Jessica, this has been a fantastic and fun look at part 2 of Visions Volume 3. Where can the folks find you if they want to continue the conversation or check out any of the cool things that you're doing right now?
Yeah, so I guess for the podcast, which I've been saying for almost the entire year, it's coming back. It's coming back. It is coming back. I'm not sure for certain. I would like for it to have episodes out before the end of the year. That is the goal.
Cool.
But you know how the holidays get and things get kind of crazy. But that's my goal, is to do that. Um, if not, definitely the beginning of the year. I didn't intend to take like a full year break, but sometimes,
Hey, life happens.
yeah, life happens and sometimes you need to do that. So, we'll see. I don't want to say like for sure when, because I don't want to stress myself out.
That's right. Don't put a deadline if you don't need to.
But the goal is to have some stuff out before the end of the year. If not for sure the beginning of the year. And that is I think I just have well, you know, there's so many things, and technically I still have a TikTok, but it's like inactive and I don't really use it, and I don't know that I'm gonna keep it. But definitely Instagram and Threads. It's the Rebellion of Hope. I had to put a the in there. And that is where you can find the podcast, and the YouTube is also the Rebellion of Hope. And so I'm gonna change it up maybe a little bit as far as how all of that goes. I'll still have audio versions as well. But that is where you can find the podcast. And then if you are interested in checking out my shop, it is Asteria Outpost, and that is also on Instagram and Threads. And that's the website, asteriaoutpost.com. And yes, people will look at it and they'll be like, oh, this isn't maybe as cheap as I want it to be. It's not Amazon quality stuff, not trying to dig, but like, you know, it's not going to just like you wash it and it falls apart. So,
Awesome.
I'm definitely the person that it's sometimes better to invest in a few good.
That's
I
right.
mean, it's not like high. It's not like high end stuff, but it's not. You know, you're gonna wash it and just throw it away. It's good quality, is what I'm trying to say. I say like it's not high end sounds bad. Like I don't mean that as like I muted myself. I didn't mean that as like a negative on it. It's just like, you know, I'm trying to keep it good quality, reasonable prices, because I don't want to sell stuff that's gonna fall apart. Um, and so yeah, it's so don't be like look at it and be like, oh, what is this? Like it's not overpriced. It's good. It's good stuff. I'm very picky. I'm very intentional on things that I do. And so if I don't like something that I've ordered, I send it back. Because I don't want to,
As you should. It's your hard-earned money.
I don't want to sell that. And if it's like okay and you know I can sell it cheaper, then I'll do that. So yeah, it's one of those things that you know I've put a lot of time and work into it. I mean, everything to me that I do has a story behind it, and has a meaning and a reason, whether it's you know what a logo is or what the vibe is. Like it's very intentional, and so it's more than just throwing something out there, I guess, for me. And so like if that's something that you're into, then check it out.
That sounds awesome. No, I hope that people go check it out because that sounds
Yeah.
like you're selling me here. I love that the care and effort and time that sounds like you've taken into creating the best products that, or at least offering the best products that you
Mhm.
can for the clientele. And
It's hard.
it's
It's
hard.
so
That's right.
hard. It's hard because it's like I want to carry like as many sizes and different options for people as I can. Um, and you can't get everything that way. Like, you know, like
hmm
it's hard. And like, you know, when you're going against, and sorry, this isn't necessarily like Star Wars related, but like when you're going up against like how this works is you have people that make stuff and then you have people that
Yeah.
wholesale it and the
Yeah.
retailers sell that. So like that's how the prices get to where they are. and I'm trying to keep my costs for people that are buying stuff as low as
Mm-hmm.
possible while still
Mm-hmm.
having a business
Yeah, you
that
gotta get some
I'm
profit there.
trying to have. And so, when you see things like, this is going to come out after Black Friday and Small Business Saturday, but like, I guess for like the next year when you're shopping, like we have a buying process. It's just like with Star Wars
Hey, it'll
content.
be out for Cyber Monday. You can
Yeah,
get those
there you
folks in
go.
there.
But when you look at these things and people are like, well, I'm not going to shop here anymore. I want to shop small. And then they are like, well, this is like more expensive than I'm used to paying. Um, Little industry secret here. When you're mass producing your own products, your markup is significant. So you
Mm-hmm.
can have 60 to 70% off. When you are a small business, you can't do that. And so
Right,
just think
right.
about that. Like when you buy something and you say like I want a better quality, or I want to support this person, like you're not supporting a big, company that could sell something 50%, 70% cheaper every day, but
Mm-hmm.
instead they choose not to. Like, I'm not dissing them. I'm just saying, like, there's a reason behind that kind of stuff, like
Absolutely.
if it's a small business and there's a location, they have rent, they have to pay their employees, they have to hopefully pay themselves. And a lot of small business owners aren't able to pay themselves to stay
Mm-hmm.
afloat. So, um, when you look at pricing and you look at things and you think, am I getting ripped off? Larger companies, probably, yeah. Smaller companies, not really. So yeah, that's a soapbox I have from being a part of retail for so long. Um, yeah. It's a whole thing. So there's a lot of great makers in the community. There's a lot of great companies in the Star Wars community. And if you can afford to support, small shops and small businesses like and creators, do it if you can. So I know it's
Absolutely.
tight and money is hard, but it's a hard time right now. But yeah.
Put good out in the world and you get good back is usually what I say. And I think you're exactly doing that, right?
Well,
You
thank
believe in
you.
the product. It sounds like you have a great story and thought process behind the things that you support. And you're supporting it full 100% here. So I applaud you in taking the scary step forward and putting yourself
Thanks.
out there for launching a brand new business and launching a new podcast at the same time.
Yeah, I love
It's a I'm sure a lot of work behind the scenes and all that stuff, but across the other side of the aisle, right? From my
Yeah.
perspective, at least, it is seeming like it's a great endeavor so far, and I'm excited to see where your story goes from here.
Well, thank you. And thank you so much for having me on. I love getting to talk about, this is different than what I do like on my podcast. So I always enjoy um getting to, talk about different episodes and the movies and characters and things because, my podcast is different and I wanted it to be different for that reason, but like I enjoy doing this too. So,
Well,
thank
I
you for
could say the
having
same
me.
way, right? It's always a pleasure having you on. We'll find a way to get you back on the show
Well,
sooner than
thank
later. So
you.
you're never too far away from the request to, hey, you want to hop on the call here?
Yeah,
Um,
same. I've got to get you on mine too once I get it
Oh,
going
it will
finally.
be my
Got a
pleasure.
list.
Absolutely. That's right. And folks listening at home, thank you so much for participating and listening in this week's episode here. Well, guess what? We may or may not be back next week with Volume 3, Part 3. We might be closing out. We might not. We kind of have something in the works here. I don't want to tease you too much on that front, but you're either getting that or something else. So that is something you can at least expect. They expect the unexpected, but expect at least half, perhaps 50% of it being Visions Volume 3. We'll see what happens with the holiday here. But anywho, with that, folks, may the force be with you and take care.